Hey guys, welcome Musky Road Rules Podcast, episode number 270. Guys, 270 of these things. It's pretty crazy. And tonight's podcast is brought to you by, well, we might as well do Musky Max. It's starting this weekend up in PA. It gets going on Saturday at 9 a.m. I know guys up there are pretty excited. Go to Musky, MUSKIE, max.com to see all the details on location. We actually have a new location this year for the event. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to all the cool stuff that's, that's going to be happening here really soon this weekend. I know it's always super crazy that first morning of Musky Max when everybody is trying to get in and everybody's looking around and stuff. It's pretty nuts those first 4 or 5 hours. So check it out, muskymax.com. And, yeah, I think you're going to like it if you're in the area. Guys, also, I want you to text us on our text line at the Lungin Lures text line at 606-776-6570. Shoot us a text. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you want to hear. And, yeah, hopefully we can bring it to you. Lungin Lures, LunginLures.com. Makers of the 22 short, 22 long, 22 SS, the chubby, also some of the Alley Cat series of baits. They have a ton of stuff there. Check them out at LunginLures.com. And I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Well, guys, I am absolutely exhausted. I just got back to Kentucky. I'm sitting on the houseboat right now, and I drove back from the Northwest Angle yesterday, or last night. I drove 22 hours straight by myself. And that was a long drive. That's my longest one so far. I'd done 19 one time by myself to Leech Lake from Kentucky. But the 22 hours nonstop overnight was, a lot of coffee drank, a lot of those Celsiuses. Also, my left arm was going numb, which I'm assuming is a slight heart attack. But I did find out that you should space out those Celsiuses and drink a little bit of water when you're doing that. But it was a long drive, but I'm back in Kentucky. I went from 13 below to about 40 above, so big temperature change. We had snow up there, about 6 inches on the ground. I think we're supposed to get another 5 to 6 this weekend. And down here, it's really, really nice. There's fish being caught. I know I've been watching and talking to some guys. I have not got on the water yet. I'm going to be getting on here really, really soon. And, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really fun start to the season down here with this warm weather. On the phone, guys, right now we got Brian Clark from Big PA Musky up in Pennsylvania. He's going to be at the Musky Max this weekend. Brian, how we doing?
Doing real good.
Good. What's you looking forward to the Musky Max this weekend?
Oh, yeah. It's one of my favorite shows. You know, the PA crowd really comes out in full force, and they like to buy. So been all hands on deck up at the shop, getting baits ready, getting the guide service stuff all put together. So ready to rock and roll this weekend. Yeah,
no, I think it's going to be really, really good. I'm looking forward to it. The show now is in a new location. Where can you give guys an idea of where it's at?
Yeah, it's called I believe it's called the Washington it's a mall complex. What is it called? Washington Crown Center, I believe.
Yep.
And I just looked at the floor layout the other day, and I was a little confused on how they were going to do it. Was it just going to be like an old shopping mall where all the vendors are set up in a long hallway, or a big room? And it looks like it's going to be a pretty sweet little setup there. So I'm excited to check the place out and see what it's all about.
Yeah, no, it looks really good. I think it's going to be a nice event, and hopefully have a lot of people show up for the show. I'm really looking forward to it. What for you there? What are you going to be showing?
So I will have one of the most complex booths at that show. Not only am I going to be like promoting my guide service in Pennsylvania and in New York, but I'll have some crankbaits there, the Wander Shed, the big ass Wander Shed, and new to last year was the big lip Wander Shed. And basically, what I did is I combined the two baits into one, and took it to the shows last year. Sold a couple, but the guys who did get them, they did really well on those baits, and I was really excited to see all the pictures that came in of those. So I'm going to have the crankbaits there, and then I'm going to have a lot of baits from Go-To Baits there. I've been pouring some hybrids over the last couple of weeks, getting ready for the show, and I got a whole assortment of Pennsylvania, New York, colors ready to rock for the guys there. A lot of St. Clair guys go to that show as well, so I got, of course, all the St. Clair staples in the arsenal. So gonna have a busy booth, and tooth tamer rods. I have about a dozen tooth tamer rods from Bill Green out in Wisconsin. So I know they have a good following out that way, and I know a lot of the Pennsylvania crowd, they do like the tooth tamers, and they're always wondering how to get them. So if you're interested in those, I will have them at my booth as well.
All right. Well, good deal. Now, Brian, you do quite a bit of guiding up there. How was your season last year? I've had a lot of guys on and talked about them, but how was your season kind of out east, the 2023 season?
In a nutshell, it was pretty bad.
That's good.
Right. Yeah. We were spoiled for so long. On Pymatooning, Chautauqua, even a little pond in my backyard called Edinburgh Lake. I was spoiled for so long with just stupid numbers of fish. Numbers were down last year, a mix of reasons why. Mostly, for the Pymatooning pre-spawn bite, we just didn't have the weather. We didn't have the weeds. We didn't have, the color we look for. Just nothing really panned out. So I did a lot of hopping around to different lakes trying to find a good bite here and there. And it was just a pretty crappy spring in general. Then I had a little baby born in May, so I took a couple weeks off there. And then,
well, that's probably pretty good.
Yeah, I needed that after the shitty spring that I had. So, that was fun, being home with a newborn. And then, June 1, I headed up to Chautauqua, had a pretty good, June, pretty good July, and then late in the year, man, it got really tough where normally I fish up on Chautauqua until like November 1, typically, unless it's still firing good, then I, finish out the season up there. But I was back in PA guiding by mid-September. I'd kind of given up on Chautauqua at that point. It was just, lots and lots of big fish follows, but the water was clear, the weeds were shitty. I was just done fighting it. So came back to PA, salvaged a couple, good days in Pennsylvania, but nothing like what it was in the past. We're really hoping that this year is going to get back to normal.
Sure. I get that. I had heard that it was a pretty tough bite up there this year, and guys were definitely struggling to get fish in the boat and everything. Has it been, was there just, you were talking about clear water. Is that just something you're not used to having up there?
No, it's pretty normal, but normally you got a lot of, really thick, especially like in September, you get some really thick cabbage weed beds. And, when you have, I guess, like 8-foot sand flats that they're normally lush weed beds combined with that crystal clear water. Now, Chautauqua has one of the worst boat side action bites of all time. Like, I do a fair bit of traveling, musky fishing, and nowhere is harder to get a fish to eat in the figure eight than Chautauqua. And so, when you're not pulling them out of the weeds and, they're actually seeing a bait coming for a long ways off, they're more likely to follow. And that was just, in my theory, what was going on while we were, contacting and seeing 8 to 10 fish a day, but getting one bite if we were, more or less doing well. So the numbers, we were seeing good ones. We were seeing a decent amount of them. Just how many times can you watch 8 fish a day come right up to the boat and, bail before you say, all right, we got to do something different, go somewhere else. So yeah, hopefully this year that we get some denser, thicker weeds that'll hopefully, coax those fish into biting.
Sure. No, I get that, man. I understand how that goes. What was so last year for you? What was kind of your go-to baits and stuff? Say early in the year.
Are you talking springtime in Pymatuning or when I
Yeah,
moved up to Chautauqua?
yeah. Let's do early spring Pymatuning.
All right, early spring Pymatuning. That lake typically has one of the best short line trolling bites that I've ever heard of. I'm heading to Kincaid in next week, and so I know that place is known for a tremendous, early season bite. But yeah, Pymatuning, amazing short line trolling. Top baits last year, the Underboss by Boschad. That was a good one for me last year. The Leo lures, those Mojos, those do really well there. And then, those were probably my two best short line trolling baits. And then casting, just a lot of small jerk baits and whatnot, a lot of hellhounds, phantoms, a couple of Narcan bites, I remember. A couple of days we had some warmer water. We got fish moving and caught a few on the LT9s, the single bladed bucktails by Lungin. I'm trying to think. It's almost a whole year ago.
Sure.
There's been a lot going on in my life trying to remember all the top baits of last year. But yeah, it was typically a jerk bait bite on the weed beds, and then, trolling shorelines. The Underboss was a hit last year.
Underboss, what is that? I'm not real familiar with that one.
It's basically a 5-inch perch style bait with a round lip, shallow diving. I'm trying to think of a good bait to compare it to. It's kind of like a similar shape to a 5-inch alley cat.
Okay.
Okay, so just imagine that profile. It's got a different, round lip on the front of it. It's got a pretty tight little wiggle to it, and I've even caught several fish casting those baits, just twitching them and whatnot. But they're kind of like a little hidden gem that not too many people are used to using. Paul's real most popular bait's that 4.5-inch boss, but that Underboss, in my opinion, is right up there with one of the top baits that I grab anywhere I go if they're eating smaller stuff. So,
and it's a bait that probably you're not getting it doesn't have a real steep dive curve to it.
No, and most of the time we're trolling in like 6-7 foot of water, and so I'm running anywhere from 5 to 20 foot back and not touching bottom. Depending on how deep I bury the rod tip. It's I would think the dive curve on that's something like maybe 5 to 1. So you can maybe top it out at like 10 to 12. I'm just ballpark guessing. I never really run them that far away from the boat, but they're not steep at all.
Sure. All right. Well, good deal. So as the spring kind of rolls on and you move into Chautauqua, what did you see up there?
Yeah, from the opener, we started out, had a pretty decent June. Most of our bites came on. It was funny you asked us, what were your go-to baits? Well, my go-to baits were the go-to baits.
Nice.
The hybrid up there pretty much dominated for us in June. Threw in a couple diving rises. I got some of the 9 and 7 inchers that Josh Marshall of Marshall Tackle, he started making some diving rises last year, and I gave him a whirl and really liked the action of those ones. But yeah, the go-to bait's the hybrid. We started out the year with the smallest version. Paired those with some willow blades. If you're not familiar what a hybrid is, it's a 2-piece rubber bait with all sorts of accessories and interchangeable tails, skirts, features, and we'll have them at the Musky Max. Check them out. But yeah, they're a very versatile bait. There's a million things you could do to them to mix them up. But those baits have been my bread and butter for the last 3 years up on that lake. And early in the season, the fish were a little higher in the water column, so we upsized the blade to keep it a little higher. And as the season progressed, we went to the medium size. Went to the Colorado blades, the number 6s. That gets a little bit deeper. You can work it a little bit faster. And then I'm trying to think. July was an okay trolling bite, but we were still mostly casting. And yeah, it was. I'm a pretty boring fisherman when it comes to bait selection. It was pretty much the hybrids and red October tubes all summer long.
Oh, nice. All right. What's the on Chautauqua up there? I mean, that water can vary depending on what end you're on, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the south half of the lake is gonna, depending on the calendar date that you go up there, you could be gin clear on the opener, and come back 5-6 weeks later, and it's going to be algae pea soup, and that's going to affect what lure colors you're using, the portions of the water column you're going to hit. It's going to be pretty dark, down below 8-10 foot, just no sunlight getting through all that algae. So there's a lot of different things we do. If I'm down on the south end, I'm mostly up on the north end being a caster. They treat the weeds real heavily on the south end. So for the most part on that lake, I'm chasing green weeds.
Well, in the south end of the lake too, you're looking at a max depth of 20 feet.
Yeah, about 18, 19, in a couple areas that are real small, real shallow, gradual shorelines.
Yeah, that's what I remember out there. And the north end gets a lot deeper.
Right.
And it's a bigger basin,
right.
Too. So, on that lake, let's talk. Did you fish? How was the fall out there?
The fall? Like I said, I pretty much did my last trip on Chautauqua around September 20th. And, I had a bunch of buddies and clients that were going up there, and it sounded like the same thing happened throughout the entire fall, where they were just seeing fish and not too many biters, just a lot of follows. A couple big ones I heard being caught on the south end trolling, but yeah, I gave up on it. I went back to Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Much shorter drive for me, and we were actually catching, so it was pretty nice.
Yeah, and so in the fall, were you doing more of the Pymatuming stuff?
Yep, did Pymatooning, and then our natural lakes out here in Pennsylvania are very similar to like the really small kettle lakes out in Wisconsin. So I got within an hour drive of my house access to like 8 or 9 of those smaller lakes, and they're just an easy place to go to guarantee your clients are going to get on top of fish. So I hit up a lot of those little natural lakes in Pennsylvania and a couple of the other reservoirs. Did a lot of bouncing around, more or less. I would talk to the clients, a couple of days ahead of time and pick their brain on where they wanted to go, what they wanted to accomplish, and that would just determine where we went.
Sure. Well,
yep. A lot of 250, 300 acre lakes, real small ponds, more or less.
How was the fall for you there in PA? Was there any kind of different pattern or special pattern that you got onto?
Not really. I'm pretty stubborn, and I like to force feed my fish big rubber, and it panned out well. We had no giants this year, nothing that topped the 50-inch range in Pennsylvania, but lots of 45s, 47s, and a couple days where we reached 5-6 fish in a day. Nothing special, but it was a lot better than the ass whooping I took up in Chautauqua in September. So I was happy to at least regain a little confidence,
Sure. No, I get it. What do you, how do you see the state of the Pennsylvania fishery right now, being out there and fishing quite a bit? I mean, does it look like, is it getting the stocking that it needs? What are you seeing?
Well, it took a long time. I think in 2017 we started stocking our 15-inch yearlings instead of the fingerlings. So we're now starting to see those fish reach like the 42, 44-inch range. So it's getting better for size for sure. There's no doubt about that. We do have a lot of red spot in our lakes, and we're always just kind of like nervous that, man, is this lake going to get wiped out if we have the right conditions in the spring that are going to, potentially wipe out an entire lake. But no, it's not bad. It's definitely on the rise. Fish are getting definitely larger in here. There is a way higher number of anglers out there, so the fish are getting a little bit smarter. You gotta pull out some old tricks and get a little goofy with your lure presentations and stuff like that to get them to go, because they are seeing a lot more baits for sure. But no, Pennsylvania is definitely getting better. And it's a shame that it waited till 2017 to get the yearlings rocking and rolling. But I was pretty lucky to have. They actually used Edinburgh Lake right in my backyard as one of the guinea pig lakes for the new stocking practices, and they had to do their own 10-year little study to see, what the benefits are to stocking a 15-incher versus a 6-incher.
Sure.
And so for 10 years, they ran this study on Edinburgh, and I was out there very, very often and just, racking up, you know, 10, 12, 15 fish days. And that was a lot of fun. And then they backed off the stocking on there for a little bit. And but it's good to see that they're actually trying new things and constantly trying to improve. I just recently heard that they're making some big moves in the future here in PA as well with new stocking, I think, equipment and whatnot. So, yeah, I think we're in good shape here in the future.
Sure. I mean, it sounds like you guys are getting some size fish too out there too, which is really nice.
Right. Yeah, we have the waters to do it. Whether it be in some of our glacial lakes that are real deep and some of our rivers, like the Allegheny River, that's always known to put out a couple whales every year. But yeah, and that's the beauty of where I live. If we want to go chase, a 52, 53 incher, I got waters like that within an hour of my place. If we want to go out there and catch 8 to 10 a day, not guaranteed, but, have a chance at that. Well, I got that, again, I got a couple lakes that can produce that within an hour of my house. So it's a fun place to live. I prefer chasing the big ones, but every now and again it is fun to go out there and just, stack up some numbers.
Sure. No, it's always good to
to have those kind of options, right?
To catch fish. Now for somebody that's just getting started there in PA and they want to get into musky fishing, what would you tell them? Maybe give them, what would be some areas to try, and then also what would be some lures or tactics they should really look into?
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, the easiest way to learn quickly is to go to place with numbers. It's rare that you're going to have lakes with numbers and size, but if you're going past 100 fish in a day versus going somewhere with 10 fish in a day, you're going to get better substantially quicker going to the numbers lakes. You're going to have way more interactions. These fish are going to tell you how, if you're doing things right or wrong. So, a lot of our smaller lakes like Edinburgh and Canadota, LaBeouf, those are great places to learn. You don't you don't go there expecting to pop a 45 or whatever, but there are a few in there. So guys new to the sport, I recommend do a little research, go online, look at your biologist report, see where the most number of fish are getting stocked, and just having them trapped in such a small little lake ensures that you're going to get baits in front of fish.
Sure.
If you go out to Pymatuning, that's 17,000 acres. Those fish swim a lot in that lake, and they could be there one day and you come back 4 or 5 days later, they're not there, and you think you're doing something wrong. Well, if you go to somewhere smaller, you're ensuring that you're putting your lures in front of fish. And as far as baits that are, maybe baits on a budget that you're going to be safe with, there's a lot of $15, $20 baits out there that catch fish. Hellhounds, for one. Those are some of the easiest jerk baits in the world. It's a side-to-side type walk the dog, subsurface glide bait. A lot of people don't throw them in the summer, but I've caught a lot of fish in 75, 76 degree water on hellhounds because that's what I started with. And I basically taught myself how to make fish eat those baits all year long. With different speeds and counting down and stuff like that. So yeah, hellhounds are great baits to get started with. Out this way, bucktails aren't what they are out west, or up north. So instead of bucktails, I love spinner baits, and my absolute favorite spinner bait are the Lungin Nutbuster Juniors. Relatively cheap bait. I believe they're like $15-$16. And actually, you're thinking to yourself, that's just an oversized bass spinner bait. It's not going to catch a giant muskie. Well, the biggest muskie we've ever caught on Chautauqua came on one of those little things. So, it's another bait that as long as water's above like 55 degrees, it's going to work. Another good trolling bait that is way overlooked are the super shad wraps. On a budget, those are great baits. I've caught fish on super shad wraps in almost every body of water I've used them in. So, real good, easy baits. Everybody, any bait shop for the most part is going to have them. And out this way, you don't need the pounders. You don't need the 13-inch baits. So, find out what your fish are eating in that lake and try and match the hatch as far as size goes. Which out this way, it's mostly all panfish and shad.
Sure. Yeah, that's what. Do you guys get much ice on your lakes out there?
So I was thinking about this earlier today. This year, I believe we had 2 days where people were actually out ice fishing, which is crazy to think because I used to be big into ice fishing and go, maybe 15, 20 times a year, and I haven't gone in 3 years. So I don't know. I'm half thinking about selling all my gear because it hasn't gotten used in a couple years. I regret putting the boat away. I should have been out there 2 days ago. It's gorgeous. I bet you our water's, 38 degrees or so. And
what, now your guys' season, it doesn't close, correct?
In Pennsylvania, we have no close season. Chautauqua, we do. The opener now is June 1 and it closes December 1.
Okay.
You gotta protect those spawning fish on December 2.
Yeah.
And you know what's the craziest rule about that is? So you can't target muskies in a boat on December 2nd, but you could target them through the ice in March and February if there ever is ice.
Oh, no shit.
So make sense of that. I don't get it. You can legally target them through the ice, but you can't target them out of a boat or from shore with rod and reel. I don't know.
Everything, it's weird when those rules, it makes you think sometimes when you hear some of the rules, you're like, well, that shouldn't be that way. But, that's just the stuff you kind of see sometimes. It always makes me wonder what the hell people were thinking when they made it.
Yeah.
So I totally understand. What
a muskie flopping on the ice is a lot better than flopping around in the net.
Yeah. What is what can you coming up here at Musky Max? I know you're going to have stuff there for sale in your booth. What is there any baits that you're looking forward to seeing or maybe picking up at the show?
Ooh, you know what? This year I've been more behaved than ever as far as lure buying goes. I've sold more lures this year than I've bought. As far as new ones that I'm looking forward to, I got a couple glides from Marshad. God, I forget the name. I think it's called the Kingpin. Paulie of Bosch had made a new Twitch bait. And so I got one of those and actually getting it wet the other day, just in a local creek. I'm thinking about getting a couple more. They look real sweet. They're kind of like oh man, what's a good comparison? I guess they're like his 8-inch minnow, but the back inch is cut off and a big grub tail, but he weighted that thing down so much that it is just like essentially one of the slowest rising dive and rise kind of crank baits out there. It's like a 2-in-1 kind of bait that I just know is going to crush for me this year. So I might pick up a couple more of those at the Musky Max. Man, kind of caught me off with that one. I guess it's one of those things once I get there and take a loop or whatever, I'll see what catches my eye.
Yeah, I think I'm going to
pulling the trigger.
I've been seeing some of those Bam Bam baits. I might try to pick up a couple of those.
A Bam Bam bait? What are those?
It's like a twin tail, soft plastic. It's got the long double tail on it. I know some buddies of mine in Wisconsin last year did really good on them. And it just looks like a kind of a cool. The rubber's just a little bit more durable, I think. So.
Oh, is it like a long toad, like a real skinny toad type thing?
Yes.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to pick up some of those at the show. I had seen them, but a lot of times when you go to these little small niche shows like this, you see a bunch of shit that you just don't know who they are.
Right.
It's stuff. It's just guys that, basement bait makers and stuff, and you go and you see what they got, and you're like, oh, well, I'll try that. I mean, that's, you kind of learn and see a bunch of different stuff, and it's always nice because that's how you get to you get to looking.
Right. And I love buying like little garage type baits because you never know when you're just going to find that next gem.
Yeah.
That bait that no fish has ever seen before and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'd much rather purchase something like that than something that, I know everybody else already has and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm actually, you got me a little intrigued. I kind of want to check them out now.
Yeah, no, there's going to be some cool stuff there, and it's going to be Saturday. I think we go 9 to 6 on Saturday. I think that's right. And then we've got it's 9 to 5 Saturday and 10 to 3 on Sunday. So it should be a pretty cool deal. I'm going to be giving a seminar there on Sunday. Looking forward to seeing everybody. And hopefully it'll be a good time. And it looks like the weather's going to be great.
Right.
If anything,
are they doing
we'll lose guys to
fishing. Are they going to do the pro guide panel this year?
Yeah, I think they are. It is scheduled to do that. So I think it's I think that they're going to definitely be doing it. But no, it should be a really good event. Brian, real quick, and this is kind of what we'll end on here. What would be, if someone is up there in PA and they're wanting to get set up to maybe do some trolling this year, what would be kind of an easy setup for people to get into?
As far as rods, reels?
Yeah, maybe just rods, reels, and even how they would set their boat up.
Okay. Yeah, there's going to be a couple booths down there selling rods, but you know what? For how little trolling I do and what size of baits and everything I use, I keep things very cheap, very easy. My down rods, for instance, are those ugly stick catfish rods, and I've had them for 7 years and broke one. And as long as you're not pulling anything, more than maybe like an 8.5 matlock, is probably the biggest I would ever use on that, which is, for Pennsylvania, that's everything you need. We're not using giant plows all the time. So, I like those because they're cheap. They don't break. They got enough flex in them. And, those are my down rod setups. I couldn't even tell you what my other trolling rods are right now. Trolling reels, I like the Daiwa Coldwater series. They do great for me. I use the 401s?
Daiwa or Okuma?
Oh, the Coldwaters, Okumas, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. The 401Ds, I believe they are. They're a great reel for trolling, loud clickers, good gear ratio. Rarely have issues with them. Get yourself a couple inline planer boards. Those are a must in PA. Even, I don't know if anybody's selling them, but those stern boards. A lot of our reservoirs, dirty water. Most of our bites come right next to that motor. So think about getting yourself a couple, down easters, some stern boards, some offshore inline planer boards. Does Crash's Landing sell those? I'm trying to think of who at the show would actually have.
Boards wise, I don't know. I don't know if Matt will have any of those there or not. Those stern boards, though, that you can get off of their church's tackle that makes them, they're just really, really nice. I like those boards a lot. I've been using those more and more over the last couple of years, and I just find them really, really nice.
Yeah. You know what I used for my stern board? I took some old iced tea water bottles, basically, and I filled them up with that spray foam insulation expandable shit.
Sure.
It just ran a little wire through it. Oh, it looks redneck as all, but it gets the job done. I got some good planer board clips on that thing with a nipple so it can't slide totally off, and that does the job for me. Because you could tell my trolling setups, I don't do a ton of trolling, but when I do, it's on a budget.
Sure. No, I totally get it. And, it'll be cool. So, at the show, no matter if you're a caster, troller, whatever, there's going to be all kinds of booths there and stuff for you to come and see. For terminal tackle, you're going to have stealth tackle there as well. They're going to be selling stuff. I think they've actually got some, and I seen that Bomb Squad will be there, which is probably going to have some Phantoms too. So for guys that are fans of the Phantom jerkbaits, that would be something to look at. There's just a ton of stuff I think you're going to be able to find there. So make sure you guys definitely come out there this weekend and see. And I'm going to have a few rods for sale too. I've got some 8-foot, they're Thorn Brothers, Thorn Brothers makes the Stealth series of rods. They're really nice, super light rods. If you're looking for a nice, it's kind of a higher end rod, I'm going to be selling for a decent little price, but it's definitely going to be quite a bit off of the regular price. But we'll have some of those, and there'll be all kinds of stuff there at the show. So, well, Brian, this is going to be kind of a short one tonight. I am exhausted. I honestly don't. I've slept 3 hours in the last 48, so it's a wonder I haven't said something I'm going to regret on here.
Right.
Just because of that. But Brian, how could somebody get a hold of you if they can't make it to the show? How could they get a hold of you?
If you can't make it to the show, you can hop on Facebook, Instagram. I have accounts for Captain Chaos on both, or you can check on my website, bigpamusky.com.
All right. Well, good deal. And guys, also remember, I'm looking for videos. If anybody wants to get some videos that we can get up on the Musky Hunter social pages, I'd really love to get a hold of them. You can always email them to me at battlethebeast, BATTLETHEBEAST @gmail. You can send them through a Google Drive. If you send them to that email address through a Google Drive, I'll be able to get those, and of course everybody will get links to whatever you want it linked to and everything. But I'm just looking to show more stuff out there to get guys interested and going on musky fishing. I know I got one of yours, Brian, a cool actually 51-inch fish, you said, and was that on a drone?
No, so yeah, my buddy Rob, he, the inventor of Go-To Baits, whatnot, very crafty guy, and so he assembled a couple 6-foot poles and mounted it where his stool is in the front of the boat.
Sure.
And so he put the GoPro up there and had all sorts of strings and stuff to aim it and whatnot. So I believe it was about, I can't remember, it was 18 or 15 foot up. But yeah, we have the GoPro set up so wherever he was casting, he would just crank that pole to the side a little bit. So yeah, it was before drones got popular and whatnot. But yeah, it was a giant fish, and if you slow it down, you can watch that 51-incher eat it, a foot below the surface. Pretty cool angle.
Yeah, no, that'll be going up on the Musky Hunter Facebook page here early next week. And guys, make sure you check out all the social media pages. You can also check out mine. You can check it out on Musky Hunter or Battle the Beast. And I'll be there too. Still got some trips ready, for the spring that we can do, and also on Lake of the Woods this summer. If you guys wanna come out, and I encourage everybody to give a shot at Lake of the Woods. It's a lot of fun. So, as of now, though, guys, I'm gonna sign off here. Brian, it was good to talk to you, and I'll see you. If I don't see you tomorrow, I'll see you Saturday.
Yeah, you got another 7-hour drive in front of you?
It's only 5. Shit, I can do that in my sleep. Oh. I might be.
Nice.
I'll see you up there this weekend.
All right, man. Sounds good.
See ya. Bye-bye.